John, what we doing?
Wild hair.
Wild hair.
Wild hair alert.
Berger, what we doing?
I'm ready.
What we doing though? You gotta tell them, man. People want to know.
Putting the 347
The 347 and then what?
in the 65.
In that? This is happening a lot quicker than I thought it would. Some of y'all called it. Andrew's called. Everybody's called it. Like, it's gonna happen. Well, it wasn't gonna happen. So we got an issue with this engine. Let's look at it. See? There's the issue. It ain't the 347. Seriously. This engine, remember I told you guys it had like a misfire? We thought it was a plug. Number 2 does not fire, it doesn't get as hot. Adjusted all the valves again, checked for push rod, bent push rod, all that stuff is fine. This cylinder is just not firing right. Also, it's got a little bit of a pop, a little bit of a coming back through the carburetor. So more than likely it's some type of intake valve issue. Here's my issue. This is a flat tappet motor. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't like no flat tappet stuff. I don't know. There's always issues. Worn lobes, valve springs, everything's gotta be just right. So we're putting a roller 347 dark block in this car. This is a roller lifter. So it's gonna sit on your cam and roll, all right? No friction. All right, your flat tappet's gonna basically be like this, right? It's gonna look just like this with no wheel on it, but it'll be solid right here. And this just rubs basically metal to metal, or glides on a film of oil on your camshaft. And you have to be very particular. You got to have a lot of zinc in your oil. You can't over tighten these things because it'll just eat into the camshaft. So with a roller, you can really tighten these things down. You got a lot of wiggle room with these. So now this is a hydraulic roller, which is what's going in here. So first off, we're going to get the engine out of the Calypso and get it off to the side. And then we're going to pull the engine out of this. We're going to clean up in here, paint real quick, drop the engine over off in this. And this engine right here, at some point we're going to work on it and probably fix whatever issues wrong with it. Also, we have to save the oil pan off this engine, so it's got to go on the 347 and then in here. All right, y'all, that's it. Let's go ahead and get at it. I'm gonna go ahead and put that plate on top. That'll work to cover everything up. All right, this should be pretty simple, y'all. We're just gonna rip this thing apart, and we're gonna leave the headers on it as we pull everything out. That way that's sealed up at least. All right, I'll go ahead and get you guys set up. We're gonna drain some oil and drain some water. Should be good to go. That means it's good.
Yeah, it's good. She got sick. She fighting. She wet.
Shit. Oh boys. Oh boys.
Smell like mint.
Yeah. Don't bust your ass, it's gonna be on camera.
Yeah.
Man, just put that on the floor.
Well, then you just gonna push it around. I got this.
I think we got it under control now. Look at all the dust in here. All right, let me give you guys an update. As you can see, we got the engine hanging over here. We got it out of the car. Well, that was something. Y'all have seen the oil and everything else. So, funny thing, the engine was hanging up in the car, right? So I get up in front of it and I grab the damn crank pulley and I pull on the engine. Well, when I did, you could hear the crank pop. John heard it. He was like, oh shit. I said, that's not good. Whew. Long story short, thrust bearings shot, crank shot. Here's the crankshaft. I want you guys to see, you can see the heat right there on the crank where this thing was working on it. This right here is a massive lip. I don't even know. That's, what do you think, Andrew? 80 thousandths probably inside, deep. It's
I'd
deep.
probably say.
All right, so here you go. Here's a perfect example. We got a new thrust bearing in here. You see it right there? Look at the gap. All right, that's the problem. This crank will just slide in and out. So this is bad, but luckily we did this the right way. We did not pull the engine out of the 65 first because we wanted to get this thing out. I'm glad we did it that way, or else we'd have had 2 cars down. We did talk about snatching the engine out of the poop coop that's out there, putting over in this car, but then you just get all these cars with all these engines out, and guys, I can't sleep at night. They all know me. Shit like this is gonna happen to you. You can have the best plan in the world and get started, and just everything hit the fan all at once. Today was that day. This thing was trying to tell us to stop. It puked out everything. It had all the warning signs, and we were pushing through. As a matter of fact, I made a comment and said, hey, you know, a lot of people will give up when they see that and say, hey, we probably need to stop. This is a bad omen. This is a bad sign. Well, oftentimes I look at it as, how bad do you want it? You know, it's a sign for me to push through, push harder. Well, today was not one of those days. Today was one of those days that we should have listened. But with that being said, this thing was so close to actually running. I had been talking to Andrew and John, everybody, about bringing this Calypso back down here, putting some new plugs in it, and getting this thing back running again and go beat on it. Guys, it didn't have many more beatings. It was going to come apart. So, luckily, we saved a dart block from catastrophic failure, and no damage really to anything that we can see, so we'll pull this thing apart, and at some point, we'll rebuild it. We've been racking our brains on this car trying to figure out which path we're going to go. And we still have to do some work. We'll get into that in a second. But remember this stumble that I've been telling you guys that we had? We found it. We found it. You won't believe this. On this carburetor, it has a cam. That's what this is called under here. It's a little crescent shaped deal, right? As this carburetor rolls, I'll show you. Watch this lever right here. Watch it. See, as that cam rolls, it pushes that lever up. Well, what happened was the cam was way over here to the side. In other words, whenever you open up the 4-barrel, this lever didn't move. Just so happened to see that, tightened it up, got it all situated, and wow, our carburetor seems to work perfectly. Just goes to show, guys, you can overlook the simplest things. So we got a good carburetor over here, it seems like. We just started the car up. It was cold, so they don't like to rev very good, but seemed to take the throttle almost with no hesitation. Cold, so that means that was probably the issue. Okay, that's one thing. That's great and all, but we got another issue here. All right, so let's get back to what was going on. This 347 was going in this car. Well, we found that the crank was chewed up. So then we got to thinking, we're like, all right, well, what are we gonna do here? This car has got some sort of issue going on with this side of the head. In other words, number 2 is not well, it's firing, but we don't have any compression over here. We did a compression check last night, and it was a good bit low. Here's what I think we're going to do. We feel pretty confident that we've got an issue with this, maybe an intake valve. I think we're gonna pull this engine transmission out today. We're gonna get it on another engine stand over here, and then we're going to swap everything over from this 347 to the 289. Now, think of it this way. This is the way I want you guys to wrap your head around this deal. This is a dart block. Okay, these components don't care that that's a dart block. To these components, this could be a 289 underneath here, right? So we're gonna take everything off this and put it over on this 289 and basically have a 289 built just like the 347. The only issue that we might run into is the fact that this car, we don't know if it has enough piston to valve clearance. We're not sure what pistons are in it. So when we get it out, we're going to check piston to valve clearance. The other issue is we want to convert it to roller, right? This is obviously a non-roller block. So there's one way of doing it, which is link bar lifters. We don't have any of those in stock, so we got to order them. So that's going to kind of put us behind. But that's the thought process right now. I wanted to include this because, man, we have fought with this thing to the point to where I went out and bought a brand new ATM carburetor, which I love those, that we didn't have to have. That could have saved us a lot of money. That could have been a complete rebuild on this car right here. So Look everything over. Leave no stone unturned whenever you're looking for issues like this, because there you go. All right, with that being said, we're gonna sit and debate a little bit more. I might even just set the camera up and let you guys hear our thought process behind all this stuff. Maybe by listening to us, it'll help you guys kind of rationalize different things. So I'll try this out. I've never really done this before, but I'll just set the camera off over here to the side and you guys can hear us go through the process. What do we, I mean,
I wonder if it's still gonna make the noise.
I don't know. Well, you talking about skipping?
The
I wonder
bumping,
if that got any of that out. It seemed like it kind of did.
the bumping noise too.
So do we need to just let this thing run for a little while? And
I wanna see if we hear that noise again.
It's a little heat, but I didn't feel like it was skipping or anything.
It sounded good. And you know, it makes sense because it was running great for so long.
True.
And
That could
then,
rattle loose.
and then all of a sudden, you did something. It might be when you adjusted on something on the carburetor, you wanted to get it. It was running a little rich.
Yeah, it's running rich. Okay, so let's start it up. The only thing we're risking is a little bit of heat in the engine. So I mean, it ain't that big of a deal.
Just time to cool down.
So
Last night.
true, but
Do what?
compression, we got compression chest, it's down. It is down, but here's the thing. Okay, so say the cylinder is down a little bit on compression. If the car runs good, there ain't no point in messing with it, right? So let's get the compression out of our heads,
Yeah.
and let's start this thing up and see if it's maybe usable, right? Because what this will allow us to do, if this damn thing runs good, I don't care that the compression's down a little bit.
Yeah.
If we can drive it to the store and we can start it and everything's fine, then what's the point in it? Really is, right?
Yeah.
What this do, why don't we look at it this way? Why don't we look at it as, let's see if it's gonna be good enough to get by with, right?
Yeah.
All right, if it's good enough to get by with, then why don't we order a crankshaft for that and just focus back on that? Because we got a good motor here, possibly.
I agree.
Now, if it skips and it wants to act crazy or something like that, then we'll go ahead and do what we said we're gonna
It
do.
just don't make no sense because it was running so great and all of a sudden it went to dog crap.
Yeah. Now, I completely understand about the compression deal, but that's why I say I don't like to do compression tests, because
Yeah.
you get in your head. If this runs good and starts up and I'm happy with how it feels, we ain't with it.
We can check with the temp gun, see if,
I don't even want to check the temp gun.
Yeah.
If I'm happy with it.
If we got,
all right?
because what all started this whole going down the rabbit hole of 347 and everything because the motor wasn't running right.
Yeah.
yeah.
And if we eliminate that from our mindset, this thing's running good, then it's good enough until we're ready to do it later down the
That's
road.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what, because we're about to open up a can of worms today now with this if we pull this motor out, right? I think everybody understands that and we're ready, but are we really ready? Do we really want to do this today? So if this thing runs good enough, man, and maybe it does have a little miss still, whatever. If it's drivable and usable, I say we just leave it. And man, that really solves a big problem here for us. Then I'll order a crankshaft for that. And hell, that'll save us money. Building that engine right there will actually save us money.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the crankshaft's only like $300 for it. And the freaking lifters are $400 for this. So let's do that. We'll get some heat in the car and see if we're happy with it. I may even move it around and see how it drives. Then the only thing that we got working against us is a lot of heat in the engine that, it's gonna be hard to work on. But let's do that. Let's fire it up, let it run for a little while, see what we think.
Yep.
Cause I'd much rather not have to go through this today if we can help it.
We'll work on some interior stuff.
Yeah, I'll do some paint door jams. we're gonna go get some gas for this thing. So far, it's running pretty good, okay? We're gonna put some gas in this car. It just ran out. And, I don't know, we're gonna go from there. So that is 100% the way we go about doing things. So now you know our mindset. Hey, it may bite us in the ass in the end, I don't know, but we're gonna proceed forward, and I'll tell you what, we'll just cut to whatever we decide to do. So as you can see, we have made the decision to leave the 289 in the car for now. Went, put some gas in it, come back, started it up. It's still got that little bit of almost a tick that comes back through the carburetor. I'm sure it's probably an intake valve not seating properly, but after we did some adjustments, this thing actually does really good. So I think we're gonna leave it where it is. Now, this has changed directions 2 or 3 different times in this video. I want you guys to know that it's perfectly normal to be that way, to be wishy-washy, because, you know, you want to evaluate every option. You want to make sure you're not jumping the gun on anything. And I'm not saying that we would have jumped the gun. Any decision that we would have made, we would have honored it and went through with it. Would it have been the right decision? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe this is a wrong decision. Maybe this is the right one. Who knows? But right now, what matters is this car still moves under its own power, and we're going to buy a crankshaft for this, go get it rebalanced, put it all back together, and then the 347 TKX will go in this car eventually. But for now, we're doing some interior stuff. Today, we're gonna be putting in Dynamat. So right now, as you can see, Berger's just seam sealing a couple little things, and we're gonna spray some stuff just to make it look a little better, and then lay some Dynamat down, and then get ready for carpet. So the carpet we already have, but the one thing that we don't have is all the plugs for these holes. So those are on order. They should be here tomorrow. And then from there, we just need to clear coat door jambs. We're gonna work our way out. We'll probably clear coat the door jambs before we put the carpet in, but outside of that, it should be good. We're not getting into any of this stuff yet up here in the dash. We'll get to that soon enough. That's where we're at. So I'll give you guys an update here pretty soon on the progress on the 65, but this will probably go ahead and wrap this video up for now. And as always, thanks for watching.
Hit the streets, Fox body clean in the slicks, hot bigs and littles in case somebody takes a shot. 331 can't feel super Victor 750 blow through custom ground chopping wood. Chop chop so fun, there's no fame, just country ass dude trying to make a name. High compression, solid roller, I thought I told you. Big tack on the dash, red line busted ass. Last week a Hellcat, this weekend it wasn't no cap. Vortex screaming loud, 15-pound GT and notch don't matter. Better batten down, parts go scatter, big boost hit a side. Heard you talking shit, you can get beside it, take the hit. This at my block gon' split, now 500 ain't shit. Watch that, on they hit the streets, Fox body clean in the slicks. Take your shot, stroke with them heads, 5-speed or C4, it don't matter now your parts scattered. The stroke